Everybody hates me until they need me. What professions are examples of this? Lawyers and mechanics. You want to have a good one of each, but you never want to have to call either of them. When I was a janitor, I got a lot of hate for knocking out my 8-hour day in 4 individual hour-long chunks of effort. I was always available for spills and got extra work done every day, but spent another 4 hours basically chilling, and management not once got on my case. The other employees despised this until a customer's colostomy bag somehow ruptured in the bathroom. From that day forward, none of them gave a if I was just hanging out on my phone. The US Coast Guard for fishermen and boaters. Usually there's a pretty good working relationship between them, but some hate the Coast Guard for the various inspections they do. But the USCG is also the ones who will come out there in a storm to rescue them. Except people hate me when they need me, too. Plastic surgeons. My uncle is a plastic surgeon and he does only reconstructive stuff, fixing burn victims' faces and stuff like that. But when people ask him what kind of doctor he is and he says plastic surgeon, they usually kinda scoff. Lawyer here. The expectation that because you are a lawyer you know everything about every law everywhere. In reality, most lawyers are highly specialized. Not the clown. Dentists for sure. All the trades guys. They're so expensive. Until that plumber shows up at 2 a.m. to prevent the sewage backup. Or the electrician that fixes an overloaded breaker panel, preventing a fire. Or the carpenter who builds the room for your toddler so you can get some sleep and maybe some sexy time. Definitely tradesman. Accounting. Lawyer is going to be the most common answer to this question by far, but I suppose any licensed service provider could fall into this category, given the right context. Plumbers are another good example. Everyone thinks they're in crooks until the washing machine breaks down. Electricians, contractors, locksmiths, etc. They all fit this mold. Unless you work with them daily, you're not going to be seeing them very often. And you're only seeing them when there's a problem, so you're primed to be upset by the time they even show up. Psychologically, you associate the plumbing issue with the plumber, when ironically, the plumber is there to fix it. Everyone wants to shoot the messenger. IT people and network security professionals are another classic example of this effect. Lineman. Been called a lazy, overpaid drug addict by old men I don't even know. Forbid we go grab lunch or a coffee. Germany. I scrolled a long time and didn't find it. Fast food workers, they're the butt of every demeaning comment about a lack of achievement or the reason why minimum wage shouldn't be raised, blah blah blah, but those people get real quiet once they're ordering their Big Mac. Tow truck drivers. The guys actually trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. Lawyers LOL. Edit, might delete this comment in a bit, not used to getting 100 notifications a minute LOL. Appreciate the engagement though. Witchers seem to have a lot of people talk trash about them, but when the village monster shows up, people are very quick to look down on people who work retail or in the food industry. People openly disrespect sanitary workers and even USPS and DMV workers, but our society couldn't function without any of them. Honestly though, USPS and DMV workers are almost always rude, and because the US loves to make simple things complicated, all the rules at both the places are almost physically painful, and if I had to deal with it for 40 HRS a week I would probably be rude too. Police. Finding a good mechanic will 99% of the time save you the most money out of most of these answers. Finding one that's skilled, but doesn't rip you off is a godsend. I didn't realize this until I married someone whose father is a mechanic. The amount of I no longer deal with is unbelievable. If you find a good mechanic, don't them off nickel and diming them. Proper time management. If everything is in order, you are on call. Cleaning is a form of maintenance, and maintenance needs to be on a schedule to get it all done. Salute to you. I appreciate janitors. I used to work in infection control in a hospital. People don't realize the standards and regulations that janitorial staff, particularly in hospitals, have to maintain throughout their day. It's a lot of work and none of it is glamorous, but we literally couldn't function without you. The CNAs where I work think they are better than me somehow? Not all of them. Like, you clean POO off people, I clean POO off of surfaces. Not a huge difference there, but still I am lesser. Literally this. People need to check themselves. Cleaning up a ruptured colostomy bag warrants 4 hours off though. You're a hero, mate. I have so much respect for janitors, etc. They kept my old apartment building spotless and were super friendly. Today I learned people hate the Coast Guard. First boots on the ground in Haiti in 2010 after the earthquake hit? Coast Guard. When Katrina hit New Orleans and it was discovered that the FEMA director had no emergency management experience, who did Bush put in charge of search and rescue and recovery efforts? Thad Allen, USCG. Who you gonna call if there's an oil spill? Coast Guard. And all of the stuff we do on a daily basis, we do it all with a fraction of the DOD budget. The reason for those inspections is to help prevent the need for the Coast Guard. In the event the Coast Guard is needed, it is more likely to be a rescue instead of a body retrieval. USCG are 100% a real branch of the military, and anyone who says otherwise hasn't seen an offshore rescue performance. Those guys are the real deal. Edit. Allegiance to DHS instead of DOD is irrelevant. It's a 20-year argument for a 240-year organization. By that logic, USCG was military until 20 years ago EDIT2, and USCG is officially defined as military under Title 10 and Title 14. On it, losers. Even if I'm wrong about prior USCG allegiances, US Code Title 10 defines USCG as military and Title 14 defines USCG as military at all times. You are either loyal to the code or you are not. It is often forgotten, but plastic/cosmetic surgery got a big start in the aftermath of WWI. There were plenty of vets with horrible disfigurements that were met with horror and revulsion returning to civilian life. The operations they took to repair/replace lost jaws, eyes, bones, etc. were attempts to let these vets able to enjoy some normalcy in society. I've had a few moles removed by various dermatologists. Huge, unsightly scars, which is fine because they were on my arm/torso, places where no one sees, doesn't matter what they look like. But I also had this big one right on my forehead and I wanted to get rid of it just because of how unsightly it was. I went to a plastic surgeon. Cost me $800. There is absolutely nothing there. Nothing. I guess maybe if I wrinkle my forehead you can see a tiny line there, but you wouldn't even notice it. I was very pleased. Note, yes, I had it checked by my dermatologist before I got it removed. He said it wasn't a mole to worry about and removing it would just be cosmetic. Amen. My wife was hit by a while riding her bike when she was 14. They had to completely rebuild her face. She said that it took her years to recognize herself in the mirror. She only has a couple of small scars, I can only see one. At 58, she looks very much like that 18-yo I fell in love with in college. We dated in college, went out separate ways, reconnected in 2017, married 2 years ago. Without the surgeries, she would have been terribly disfigured and she would have hidden away from the world. With the reconstruction, she went to college, served in the Peace Corps, and had a great career. Plus, it is hard to let someone love you when you don't love yourself. Thanks to her plastic surgeons. Edit. Hit return too soon. I agree. I'm not into cosmetic surgery at all, to each their own. But I did go see a doc that specialized in reconstructive surgery after being in a really bad accident that left a very noticeable scar over more than a quarter of my face. I ended up not having any procedures done, but it did make me realize plastic surgery isn't all about getting lip injections or breast augmentation. It can often be about making someone look and feel normal again so they can function in society without trauma and anxiety. Docs like your Uncle Rock. My friend who is a trauma surgeon always jumps to the defense of cosmetic plastic surgeons with a very legit argument. The way people look can be extremely important to those people's mental health and their everyday life in general, especially women. What these surgeons do can prevent depression, suicidal tendencies, various other psychiatric and psychological issues. Can save marriages and boost confidence in a workplace, etc. These surgeries can literally improve the quality of people's lives, superficial or not, based on how many are done in countries all over the world that don't necessarily share similar cultures. It is very important to a lot of people. I thought you guys all just put on a nice suit, sat back in your chair and answered any question with "it depends." The further you go in any field of study, the more niche and specialized your knowledge becomes. Wife was a neuroscientist at a major university investigating some blood-brain barrier thing when we first met. My best friend's girlfriend was also a neuroscientist at the time at a different university. She was studying something about addiction, I think. To the layman, me, they sounded like they would know a lot about each other's field of study. They did not. The amount of times I hear, "But you're a lawyer." Yeah, I do software sales negotiations and privacy stuff. I don't know how to get you out of your DUI and you should have been drinking and driving in the first place. Yep, you get everything in order and pretty much humming along. They say, "What are we paying you for if you are just sitting there?" Goes haywire, they say, what are we paying you for if you can't keep the stuff from breaking? Cybersecurity. Why do we have to do all these dumb trainings? No one is this. Hey. I clicked on this link in this email from Gary in accounting and now it wants Bitcoin to get my stuff back. You can fix this, right? I wouldn't say we're hated until needed. I would say we're largely ignored until needed and then usually become an attempted scapegoat. I'm a dentist for kids. I am hated by parents and children. I had only a few fillings done as a child, and it was fine. But I didn't realize how much fear and anxiety was in the world for dentists. I wears you down after a while, and a lot of dentists get burned out because no one appreciates you and how hard of a job it is. You kind of have to give no at a certain point because people need you, but then you have to hear like, hey, good thing I'm getting this filling today, so you can make your boat payment. When in actuality, you are getting paid $182 for that filling on a child while the mother is crying in the corner in worry, which barely pays the overhead of running a practice, while you have $500,000 in student loans. You do a good job, and then the parent says, let's get out of this horrible place. Adults say to me, I hate the dentist, and I say, well, I am a pretty nice person, and then they say, oh, not you, just I hate everything you do. The world is less tolerant of discomfort, and I think dentists need to use more sedation for treatment. But then people won't want to pay $500 for it. So, they will still hate us. The plumber who came to my house at midnight on Christmas Eve to stop the waterfall of water gushing into my basement was worth every one of those several $100s I paid him. Auditors. Brit here. The wars were a bit rude, NGL, but if they don't know their engineering. Watching my Jewish family transition from will never drive a German car to hop in over 40 years has been pretty funny. Okay, new funniest answers so far. First one that made me genuinely chuckle. It wasn't fast food, but was still a cashier job. Had a woman point at me and tell her kid that if he didn't go to college, he'd end up like me working at a dead-end job. I was 17 and in high school, hadn't even had the chance to go to college yet. I don't hate tow truck drivers, I hate exploitative and predatory towing companies. Don't know why this isn't higher on the list. This is a perfect example of the description. Absolutely nobody wants their car towed until the day that they need somebody's car towed. Lawyer here, they hate me until they need me and also hate me during and after. This is the profession I first heard the phrase about, but I've quickly learned there are plenty others. Thank you for freeing me from this lamp. I shall grant you 3 wishes. I wish for a world without lawyers. Done. You have no more wishes. No more? I should have 2 left. Sue me. Surprised it took so long to find this. I thought this would be the number 1 answer. My friends think I'm crazy for driving to a mechanic that's 45 minutes away, but this shop has only done me good. Brought my car in for a suspected problem, they found no issues, never charged me. Another time, car was having major issues. After a day at the shop, mechanic called me and just straight up told me the $3,000 it would cost to repair the car would be better off on a down payment instead of repairs that may or may not fix the issue. I like they pay their staff by the hour too. Same idea as never trust a busy SYS admin. Yeah, I was in emergency last year with my daughter. Here I was sitting there with her on my lap. I start hearing water pouring. I look around and the guy next to me is himself big time. Lord knows what sad things were happening to him. I felt bad for him but got away from that giant puddle real fast. The janitor was there in seconds. He even helped the guy get someone to help out his situation. He cleaned it so fast and well. It smelled like lemons when he left. Bless him. It's crazy to me that people treat janitors poorly. You're taking care of something that I really don't want to do but would otherwise need to do if you weren't there. I always try to be nice and say hey to the janitors I see a lot, give them the occasional thank you. Because they deserve it more. They're just bitter because the surfaces you clean are far less likely to randomly assault you. Yeah, that's an underappreciated job and it's also not a bad gig aside from the occasional exploded colostomy bag. If you compare it to the stress of other jobs like fast food or retail, being a janitor probably seems like a relaxing paradise. Just quietly mop the floor and listen to music or an audiobook. You probably do a daily cleaning checklist and if an emergency cleaning situation happens the people who call you probably think you're a hero. Smiley face, they're like military police, and you don't have rights on the water like you do on land with normal police. They're generally good and responsible, but I also understand why people have negative feelings toward them. The USCG literally flies planes into hurricanes because they can. Nothing more badass than going toe-to-toe with nature. Yet, there are before and after pictures out there of early plastic surgeries, and it's genuinely amazing to see what the pioneers of that discipline were actually capable of, considering the tools that they had to work with, and the fact that they were just kind of figuring it out as they went along.